Hey, this is Brian Slagle from Metal Blade Records again. So here is now part two of my talk with Lars. You get to hear some more stuff about the early days and, of course, all you need to know about Kill 'Em All.
Early May, something like that. I think we went up to Rochester and started what's called Barrett Alley with the studio. But we were psyched. It was a cool studio. We felt pretty good, and also it wasn't like, as then has happened on every record since then. I mean, even Ride the Lightning, the next record a year later, we wrote two of the songs in the studio. Master Puppets, we wrote songs. I mean, we walked into Barrett Alley in May of '83 with all the songs just ready to go. I mean, it became about executing, and it became about capturing. It wasn't necessarily super sort of creative sessions. It's like, oh, what are we doing? And blah. It was just like go in and fucking play and nail it,
When you got there, did you guys feel that you were ready to record, or did you feel you needed more time to play out? Like, what was the mindset when you got there and you were getting ready to record?
Well, I mean, there was one speed bump along the way.
Yeah, well,
was,
yeah. A little minor speed bump.
Yeah, minor
wasn't
speed
there?
bump there. Which that was really the first thing that had to be dealt with when we got there, because when we left San Francisco, everything was fine. When we got to New York 10 days later, things were less hunky-dory in the band, and obviously it was the first time that we had all lived together, shared, been sort of locked and sharing a very small amount of space, and we realized, unfortunately, that things were probably not going to work out with Dave. And literally, we walked into Johnny Z's place, we got to his house, and we all crashed on his couch, and blah, 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 and we walked in, and basically the first thing was like, I just gotta tell you something. Hi, nice to meet you. How you doing? Nice family, nice kids. So, and Johnny Z was like, it was like, whoa, that was a big shock. So we dealt with that for the first couple of weeks, and then fortunately things worked out well with Kirk, and he got everything quickly and learned it quickly. We ended up living in Jamaica, Queens, in a kind of an old furniture warehouse. So basically, I think through the month of April, we were hanging in Jamaica, practicing, and working with Kirk, and then playing gigs on the weekends. And but you got to remember that, Johnny Z, God bless him. I mean, he didn't have. I don't mean this disrespectfully whatsoever. He didn't have a lot of experience in doing what he was doing, and so there was an element which we liked. I mean, it was appealing, the kind of make it up as you go along element. You know what I mean? It wasn't like there was a plan. It wasn't like, here's this and come out and you're going into the studio on this and this date, and here, it was very sort of haphazardly, just sort of like making it up as we were going along, because it was a new experience for all of us. And I think that was part of the reason that we really got on so well with him, was we were kind of in this together. And it wasn't like him and us. It was like we're all doing this together, and we sort of believed in each other, and it was a pretty cool shared experience.
Yeah, we get into the studio recording. What I remember of the place, we were on different levels. I don't know if that's exactly accurate, but I remember not being able to see Lars while I'm playing, and that was a little frustrating. The drum room was somewhere else, and we're obviously used to being each other's faces. I remember going to, we didn't know the producer, we didn't know anyone there, and we're looking at him, and the guy's, kind of clean cut, and we're going, oh no, does he really know what he's in for, or does he know how to get the sounds we want, Because we had Mark Whittaker, the guy who was our early manager and place we lived at in El Cerrito. He was doing, engineering school, so he was helping with the sounds, and he helped with. There was a demo after the No Life Till Leather that had Whiplash and like 3 other songs, and the sound was pretty darn good. And I remember driving around, and this guy Bob, who we had befriended up there, who was a complete nutcase, He was our shuttle service, He'd hang out. He'd take us to go get wings, or, go drinking or whatever. He was our ride around. I remember we're listening to stuff in his car going, A-being it with the old demo, that's our first experience with demoitis,
Yep.
It's like, oh my God, the guitars just, they don't have it, or the vocals, and kind of freaking out about it that maybe, this isn't the right guy. It's like, but the other thing I really remember, I had to go in, and we were short on funds, and I had to go in and do vocals. I had 2 days to do all the vocals, and I was probably the most hungover I'd ever been in my life. I woke up.
Perfect.
Yeah, I woke up. I think I'd smoked pot for the second time in my life or something too. I had woke up on the floor of the kitchen, and my head was resting on a wooden chair, and I remember Johnny Z being on the phone. You got to go in and do vocals today. It's like, fuck you. I'm not doing any vocals today. I'm going to throw up on the mic. It's like, what? You gotta. And I just completely hung up and just stayed. But I got all the vocals done, I guess, maybe in 1 or 2 days.
Well, how did you feel when it was finished and you heard the finished product at the end?
I was psyched. I thought that that the record obviously sounded good. It was a big thing about this Barrett Alley place had these really big rooms, so we thought the record was really nice and ambient and that whole thing, which of course was nothing compared to the Ride the Lightning record, which was really like, next level up in terms of production. We're actually sitting, James and me, talking a couple days ago about how such a big thing back then, and you can probably remember that was, production. Oh, we got to get, Chris to Sangaritas, or we got to do this, or Martin Birch. Ooh, it's production. The sounds. It's like now you just fucking go in and play, and I mean, it's almost like you're trying to play it down now. You just want it to sound like garagey, and you don't want to fuck with it too much. Back then, it was like, Def Leppard was on the radio every half hour. Ooh, listen to the kick drum, and I mean, I remember sitting there being super psyched about the way it sounded, and and obviously it was also a big step up from the demos in terms of sound and so on. And I remember the first time we held the record, it was down in Jersey right before the Raven tour started, early mid-July. It was like, fuck, it was like you're holding a record, your own record, with the word Metallica. That was a pretty big moment.
Boy, I listen back to those vocals and go, who is that?
Yeah.
Who is that? Who is she? I mean, some of his high screaming stuff. It's like, wow. And whether my balls hadn't dropped completely by then, or I don't know, but when you're first start, I was really thrown into the singing part. I wanted to be a singer really bad growing up. My poster was Steven Tyler and Joe Perry together in this one picture, and I wanted to be both of them. And thinking that playing guitar and singing, no band has made it like that. You gotta have a front man. So, and growing up in LA, I always wanted to be in a band. And everyone was looking for singers. So, well, okay, I'll put the guitar down and start singing. And I had to go back and forth with it, Okay, I'm going to sing. It's going to be awesome. I'm singing, at the Saxon show and going, oh, I miss playing guitar. And we need another guitar. So I'll pick the guitar up again. And, man, I feel this, the riff and this. And, okay, we're looking for a singer now. And then we look for a singer. And it's like, dude, the guy's a poser. And, oh, my God. And I go back and forth. And, I end up doing the rhythms because he's not as good and that. And it's like, all right, I'm gonna attempt to do both, and, if a singer comes along, then okay. And I was not taking lessons. I was not, I was listening to Lemmy. Lemmy was kind of, okay, as long as you got attitude, you don't have to be able to sing, And that was kind of the attitude around those days, And, I did what I could, and my extent of singing was a yeah, like that at the end, I'd do a little bump at the end. That's singing, that's my vibrato or something, And, slowly over time, obviously being on tour and things, you just get better. The more you sing, you got to develop a style.
Sure.